What would you do if saving one forbidden child could end a galactic war? When ex-medic Jonas Kane finds a dying alien mother clutching her hybrid baby on a bombed-out world, he faces an impossible choice: follow orders and let them die, or risk everything to prove that love is stronger than fear. This is the story of how humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons. It's our willingness to care for those the universe says shouldn't exist. The wind screams through skeletal ruins like a dying animal. Dust devils dance between broken spires that once reached toward alien stars. This is Kepler, 42c, a world that was supposed to be empty, dead, cleansed. My name is Jonas Kane, and I'm here to make sure it stays that way. The settlement below looks like a graveyard of metal and glass. Twisted buildings lean against each other like wounded soldiers. 3 months ago, this place housed 2 million souls. Now it's just another ghost world on the outer rim, another casualty of the purification wars. My suit's scanner chirps softly. The sound cuts through the howling wind like a knife. I stop walking, heart suddenly pounding against my ribs. Impossible, I whisper. The readout is clear. Life signs, faint but unmistakable. Someone is still alive down there. My partner for this mission floats beside me, a spherical drone about the size of a basketball. Skeev's been with me for 3 years now, ever since the brass decided human sweepers needed electronic babysitters. His optical sensors flicker blue as he processes the data. Jonas, Skeev's voice crackles through my comm, distorted by atmospheric interference. Statistical probability of survival after full orbital bombardment, 0.003%. Margin of error negligible. I check my scanner again. The life signs are getting weaker. Odds don't matter, Skeev. People do. This unit does not understand the logic of that statement. I'm already moving boots crunching over crystallized sand. The settlement's outer perimeter is a maze of collapsed structures and fused metal. My headlamp cuts through the perpetual twilight, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The life signs are coming from Sector 7, an old residential district by the looks of it. Most of the buildings here are intact, probably protected by the mountain ridge during the bombardment. Lucky, if you can call any of this lucky. I pick my way through debris-filled streets following the scanner's steady beep. The sound grows stronger as I approach a half-collapsed apartment complex. The building's facade is cracked like an eggshell, but the inner structure seems solid enough. Warning, Skeev announces. Structural integrity compromised. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Noted and ignored. The entrance is blocked by a massive concrete slab. I have to crawl through a gap barely wide enough for my shoulders. The smell hits me immediately, not decay, thank God, but something else. Something medicinal. Antiseptic. The interior is dark except for my headlamp. Broken furniture litters the floor. Family photos hang crooked on the walls, their subjects alien but somehow familiar. Wide eyes, elongated faces, skin that shifts color in the light. The Kepler natives were beautiful ones before the war, before everything went to hell. My scanner beeps urgently. The life signs are close now, very close. I follow the signal up a collapsed staircase using my hands as much as my feet. The second floor is in better condition. Doors stand open, revealing empty rooms filled with abandoned wives, toys on the floor, clothes still hanging in closets. These people left in a hurry. The strongest signal comes from the end of the hall. The door is closed but not locked. I push it open slowly, weapon ready. What I see stops me cold. A figure lies on a makeshift bed, breathing shallow and labored. The body is clearly alien, tall with elongated limbs and that characteristic color-shifting skin. But it's not the dying alien that freezes my blood. It's what she's holding. Cradled against her chest as a child, maybe 2 years old if I'm judging by human standards. But this isn't a human child, and it's not fully alien either. The features are a haunting blend of both species. Human bone structure with alien skin. Familiar eyes in an otherworldly face. A hybrid, the thing that started this whole damn war. Jonas. Skeev's voice is barely a whisper. Genetic scan complete. Confirmed hybrid specimen. Protocol dictates immediate termination. The child's chest barely rises and falls. Dying. Both of them are dying. I holster my weapon and move closer. The alien woman's eyes flutter open as I approach. They're golden like liquid metal, and filled with pain. And something else. Recognition. She knows what I am, what I represent. Her grip tightens on the child and she tries to speak. The words come out in her native tongue, but the universal translator in my suit picks them up. "Please," she whispers, "please don't hurt her." The child's lips are blue, oxygen deprivation. In humans, that would mean brain damage within minutes. I don't know alien physiology, but I know dying when I see it. "Skive," I say, my voice steadier than I feel, and run a medical diagnostic on the child. Jonah's protocol clearly states, run the diagnostic. Skive's sensors whir as he hovers over the tiny form. Blue light bathes the child's face, and for a moment I see something that makes my heart skip. The features are so human, so familiar. "Respiratory distress," Skive reports. "Cardiovascular irregularities. Estimated time until cardiac arrest 4 minutes 37 seconds. I'm already moving, pulling medical supplies from my pack. The woman watches me with those golden eyes, confusion replacing fear. "Why?" she asks in broken standard. Why help?" I don't answer immediately. I'm too busy trying to remember field medicine training from 20 years ago. Human physiology, alien biology. This shouldn't work. But the child's genetic makeup is close enough to human that it might. Because I say preparing the emergency respirator, she's a kid, and kids don't deserve to die for their parents' choices. The respirator is designed for human children, but I adjust the settings hoping the mixed genetics will work in our favor. The woman, the mother, helps me position the tiny mask over the child's face. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the child's color improves slightly. The breathing steadies. Cardiovascular function stabilizing. Skive reports. Oxygen saturation improving. The mother's eyes fill with tears. Not human tears, but close enough to break my heart. "Thank you," she whispers. I sit back on my heels, suddenly exhausted. What the hell am I doing? This goes against every protocol, every order I've been given. The hybrid program was banned for a reason. These children are weapons, they said. Abominations. Threats to the genetic purity of both species. But looking at this tiny face, all I see is a child who wants to live. "Jonas," Skive's voice is urgent now. Long-range sensors detect incoming signals. Multiple contacts approaching fast. I check my scanner. He's right. At least 6 heat signatures coming from the settlement's northern edge. Fast and focused. How long? 15 minutes, maybe less. The mother struggles to sit up, still holding her child. "They found us," she says. "They always find us." "Who? The purifiers. They want her dead." She looks down at the child whose breathing is still labored but stable. "They want us all dead." I make a decision that will probably get me court-martialed, if I live long enough. "Then we better get moving." The mother stares at me. You got a name, Myra." "Myra, I'm Jonas. And right now, I'm the only chance you and your daughter have of getting off this rock alive." She studies my face, looking for deception, for the trap. "Why would you help us? We are enemies." I stand up, shouldering my pack. "Because I used to be a medic, before I became a soldier. And medics don't let children die. Not on my watch." Skive hovers between us, his optical sensors flickering rapidly. "Jonas, this course of action contradicts all established protocols. The consequences will be my problem." I turn to Myra. "Can you walk?" She nods, struggling to her feet. The child, her daughter, is awake now, looking at me with wide, curious eyes. Half human, half alien, and completely innocent. We need to move, now. As we leave the apartment, I can't help but think about the irony. I came here to clean up the remnants of a war. Instead, I might be saving its future. The settlement's underground tunnels are our best bet. The purifiers will expect us to run for the surface to try for the extraction point. But I know these tunnel systems. Spent 3 weeks mapping them during the initial assault. This way, I tell Myra, leading her toward a maintenance hatch hidden behind a collapsed wall. The tunnels are dark and narrow, but they're also our lifeline. Down here, we're invisible to most scanners. The rock formations interfere with thermal imaging, and the old utility conduits mask our heat signatures. We move in silence, the only sounds are footsteps echoing off metal walls and the soft hum of Skiva's propulsion system. The child has fallen asleep in her mother's arms, her breathing steady now thanks to the portable respirator. After 20 minutes of walking, we reach a junction. 4 tunnels branch off in different directions. I check my scanner. No immediate threats, but that could change quickly. We rest here, I decide. 5 minutes. Mayra sinks gratefully onto a supply crate, adjusting her hold on the child. In the dim light of my headlamp, I can see exhaustion etched in every line of her face. She's been running for a long time. How long, I ask. 3 months, since the bombardment. You've been hiding here for 3 months, she nods. The deep shelters survived. Some of us made it underground before. She trails off, but I know what she means. Before the orbital strike that turned the surface into a wasteland. Why didn't you evacuate with the others? Mayra's grip tightens on her daughter. They wouldn't take her. The refugee ships they scanned for genetic purity, hybrids are turned away. All of them. All of them. Her voice is bitter. Your people, my people, they agree on one thing. Children like her shouldn't exist. I watch the sleeping child, her face peaceful in the artificial light. What's her name? Kira. Mayra's voice softens. It means hope in my language. Hope. God, when was the last time I heard that word used without irony? Jonas Skep interrupts. Sensors detect movement in the upper level. Multiple contacts searching systematically. We're up and moving again deeper into the tunnel system. The passages here are older, carved from living rock rather than built with metal and concrete. The walls are smooth, almost organic in their curves. These tunnels, I ask as we walk, how far do they go? To the old mining complex, 15 kilometers north. And from there, abandoned launch pad, but the ships are gone, destroyed in the first wave. I check my scanner again. The contacts above are getting closer, but they're still following a search pattern. Methodical but predictable. There might be another way. The emergency beacon array, if it's still functional, we could send a distress signal. To who your fleet? To anyone who will listen. We reach another junction, this one with a ladder leading up to a maintenance level. According to my map, this should connect to the mining complex service tunnels. Up, I tell them. The climb is difficult for Mayra, carrying the child and still weak from her own injuries. I help as much as I can, but the ladder is narrow and the rungs are spaced for alien proportions. The upper level is better maintained. Emergency lighting still functions, casting everything in a dim red glow. The air is cleaner here too, filtered through the mining complex's atmospheric systems. This way, Mayra says, taking the lead. She knows these tunnels better than I do. We follow a main corridor for several hundred meters before it opens into a vast underground chamber. The mining complex stretches out below us, a cathedral of metal and stone. Massive excavation equipment sits abandoned, covered in dust, but still impressive. Beautiful, I murmur. It was, Mayra agrees. Before the war, this place employed 50,000 people, humans and my kind working together. What happened then? Fear, misunderstanding. The hybrid program was supposed to bring our species together, create a new generation that could bridge the gap between our worlds. She looks down at her sleeping daughter. Instead, it gave both sides something to hate. We're crossing the chamber floor when Skeev's sensors light up like a Christmas tree. Multiple contacts close proximity. They've found our trail. The sound of boots on metal echoes through the chamber. They're coming fast, and there's nowhere to hide on the open floor. The equipment, I say, pointing to a massive mining drill. We can get cover there. We run. Mayra's breathing labored as she struggles to keep up. The child wakes, starts to cry, and the sound echoes off the chamber walls like a beacon. Shh, little one, Mayra whispers, but the damage is done. Searchlights flood the chamber, turning night into day. Voices shout in multiple languages, but the message is clear. They've found us. Surrender now, a voice booms through speakers. Return the hybrid specimen, and your deaths will be quick. I peek around the edge of the mining drill. At least a dozen figures in combat armor, weapons trained on our position. They're not taking any chances. Jonas, Skeev says quietly, I have been analyzing this situation. The probability of successful escape is less than 12%. What about unsuccessful escape? Approximately 47% chance of surviving the next 10 minutes. I look at Myera, who is holding her daughter close, whispering what sound like prayers in her native tongue. Better than zero, I say. Jonas Kane, the voice calls out. We know you're there. We know what you are. Come out now and face judgment for your crimes against genetic purity. Crimes against genetic purity. Christ listened to them, as if loving someone different was a crime. I've got an idea, I tell Myra, but you're not going to like it. What? We split up. I'll draw them off, give you a chance to reach the beacon array. No, her voice is firm. We stay together. Myra, be reasonable. You and Kira have a chance if... No. She shifts the child to one arm and draws a wicked-looking blade with the other. I will not run anymore. Jonah, Skyve's voice is different now, uncertain. I have been analyzing my core programming. The protocols regarding hybrid specimens. Not now, Skyve. The protocols are wrong. That stops me cold. What? I have observed this interaction for the past 4 hours. The child shows no signs of genetic instability, no enhanced aggressive tendencies, no threat potential beyond that of any normal offspring. Skyve, your barf malfunctioning. Negative. I am functioning with perfect clarity for the first time since activation. His sensors focus on the child. She smiles at me, Jonas. When did you last see a weapon? Smile. The searchlights sweep closer. We're out of time. Last chance, the voice booms. Surrender or we come to you. I make a decision that surprises even me. I stand up, hands raised, weapon visible but not threatening. I'm coming out, I shout. Don't shoot. Jonas, no, Mara hisses, but I am already moving. The lights focus on me, blinding in their intensity. I can feel the targeting lasers painting my chest, my head. One wrong move, and I'm dead. Where is the hybrid, the voice demands. Gone, I lie. Dead, died of its injuries an hour ago. Impossible. Our sensors detected 3 life signs. Then your sensors are broken. A figure steps forward, removing his helmet. Human middle-aged with the kind of face that has seen too much war. His uniform bears the insignia of the Purification Corps. Commander Morrison, he says, and you are P.D. Jonas Kane, freelance sweeper. Ah yes, the famous Jonas Kane, hero of the Centauri campaign, butcher of Kepler 438b. His smile is cold. Fall from grace is always tragic, isn't it? I don't know what you're talking about. The hybrid Kane, we know it's here. Our intelligence indicates a breeding pair escaped the bombardment, female with offspring. Then your intelligence is wrong, Morrison signals to his troops. They spread out, weapons ready. Search the area, thermal scans, genetic traces, the works. This is it, the moment of truth. If they find Myra and Kira, we're all dead. But as the soldiers move closer to our hiding spot, something unexpected happens. The lights go out. Emergency lighting kicks in a moment later, but in that brief interval of darkness, I hear the sound of movement. Fast, purposeful, heading away from the mining equipment. Contact lost, a soldier reports. Thermals are scattered. Impossible, Morrison snarls. They can't just disappear. But they have. Somehow Myra and Kira have vanished into the shadows of the mining complex, which means it's time for me to be somewhere else too. I'm already moving when the lights stabilize, rolling behind another piece of equipment. Shouts follow me, but I'm gone, swallowed by the maze of machinery and metal. Find them! Morrison's voice echoes through the chamber. Find them all. The hunt is on. The underground chase. The service tunnels beneath the mining complex are a nightmare of twisted metal and broken promises. I crawl through ventilation shafts barely wide enough for my shoulders, following heat signatures that might be Myra, and Kira might be ghosts, might be nothing at all. Behind me, Morrison's troops are tearing the mining chamber apart. I can hear them shouting coordinates, calling out grid references like this is some kind of training exercise. But this isn't training. This is a hunt, and we're the prey. My comm crackles with Skyve's voice. Jonas, I am detecting multiple thermal anomalies in Sector 12. Configuration suggests deliberate heat dispersal. Smart girl. Mara's using the old mining equipment to mask their heat signatures. probably activating dormant heating elements to create false positives, but that trick won't work forever. I drop down into a maintenance corridor and nearly crash into them. Myra spins around blade ready before recognizing me in the dim light. Kira is still unconscious in her arms, the portable respirator doing its job. For now. How? I whisper. Emergency protocols, she explains, pointing to a control panel on the wall. I used to work here before the war. I know every shortcut, every hiding place. The troops are spreading out. We've got maybe 10 minutes before they find us. There's another way, Myra says. Older tunnels predating the mining operation. Natural caves that connect to the surface. How far? 2 kilometers, but Jonas, she hesitates. The caves are unstable. Seismic activity from the bombardment. One wrong step and the whole section could collapse. Better than certain death. She nods grimly and leads the way. The older tunnels are different, carved by water and time. Rather than machines, they twist and turn like the arteries of some massive organism. The walls are smooth stone slick with moisture, and the air tastes of minerals and age. Our footsteps echo strangely here, bouncing off curved walls in ways that make it hard to judge distance. More than once, I think I hear pursuit, only to realize it's our own sounds returning to us. Jonas. Skive's voice is barely a whisper. I am experiencing difficulty, maintaining contact. The mineral composition of these walls is interfering with my communication systems. Stay close then. There is something else. I have been analyzing my behavioral patterns since we encountered the hybrid specimen. Kira, her name is Kira. Yes, Kira. The way he says it sounds almost fond. I have been experiencing what I can only describe as protective impulses. This should not be possible given my programming. I glance at the drone, his optical sensors flickering in the darkness. What are you saying, Skive? I believe I am malfunctioning, Jonas. And I believe this malfunction is what humans call caring. Before I can respond, Myra stops abruptly. We've reached a junction where 3 tunnels converge. The ceiling here is lower, supported by ancient stone arches that look ready to collapse at any moment. This way, she says, choosing the leftmost tunnel. It leads to the old ritual chambers. Ritual chambers. Sacred spaces from before my people discovered technology. Places where we came to commune with the earth spirits. Her voice carries a note of sadness. Before we learned to make war instead of love. The tunnel begins to slope upward, and I can feel a slight breeze carrying the scent of the surface. We're getting close. That's when Kira wakes up. The child's eye opens slowly, focusing on my face with that uncanny intelligence I noticed before. She studies me for a long moment, then reaches out with one tiny hand. Her fingers brush my cheek, and I feel something I haven't felt in years. Wonder. Pure, innocent wonder at the world and everything in it. She likes you, Mara says softly. Kids usually do, don't know why. Perhaps because you see them as they are, not as what others want them to be. Kira makes a soft sound, something between a laugh and a coo. It's the most beautiful thing I've heard in months. How old is she? 18 months by your calendar. But hybrid children develop differently. She understands more than she can express. As if to prove the point, Kira looks directly at Skive and makes the same sound. The drone's optical sensors brighten in response. Fascinating, Skive murmurs. She appears to recognize my artificial nature, yet shows no fear. Most organic beings, even adults, display some level of anxiety around autonomous constructs. Maybe she knows you're not going to hurt her. Or maybe, Myra adds, she sees no difference between artificial and organic consciousness. To her, we're all just beings. The simplicity of it hits me like a punch to the gut. Here's a child who doesn't see species, barriers, doesn't categorize people as human or alien or artificial. She just sees individuals worthy of trust or fear based on their actions. What a concept. We emerge from the tunnels into a vast underground chamber. The ritual space Myra mentioned is breathtaking. Natural stone formations rise like cathedral spires, and ancient carvings cover every surface. This place is old. Older than human civilization, older than the war, older than the fear that drives both our species apart. Beautiful, I breathe. My ancestors believed this place was where the world began, Myra says, where the first consciousness emerged from stone and water. What do you believe? She looks around the chamber, then down at her daughter. I believe consciousness comes from connection, from the moment when two different minds touch and recognize each other as equals. There's something profound in that statement, something that makes me think about the war, about the purification core, about all the ways we find to hate what we don't understand. Movement, Skip announces suddenly. Multiple contacts approaching from 3 directions. The spell is broken. Reality crashes back like a cold wave. They've found the tunnels, I say. Impossible. Those passages haven't been used in decades. They're using seismic sensors, tracking our footsteps through solid rock. Myra's face goes pale. Then there's nowhere left to run. I look around the chamber, calculating angles and distances. The space is large but open, offering little cover. The only exit besides the tunnels we came from is a narrow crack in the far wall that might or might not lead to the surface. There's always somewhere to run, I say. Question is whether we're fast enough to reach it. Jonas, wait. Skive's voice is urgent now. I am detecting additional signals. Aerial units approaching from the surface. Estimated time to arrival 8 minutes. Aerial units. That means Morrison isn't taking any chances. He's called in air support to seal off any escape routes. The crack in the wall, I asked Mara, where does it lead? Old lava tube. Goes up about 50 meters before opening onto the plateau. Defensible? From below, yes. From above? She shakes her head. So we're trapped. Caught between ground forces and air support, with a baby who needs constant medical attention and a woman who's been running for 3 months. It should be hopeless. Instead, I find myself smiling. What? Myra asks, seeing my expression. I was just thinking about something my old squad leader used to say. When you're outnumbered, outgunned, and out of options, that's when humans get creative. This is your creativity. Not yet. Skive, how much power do you have left? Approximately 6 hours of operational capacity at current usage levels. What about overload protocols? The drone's optical sensors flicker rapidly. Overload would provide significant electromagnetic pulse capability, but would result in total system failure. Permanent shutdown. I know. Jonas, you cannot be serious. Dead serious. Can you generate enough interference to disrupt their communications? For approximately 47 seconds before critical failure. That's all we need. Jonas, Skive's voice is quieter now. I do not wish to cease functioning. The simple statement hits me harder than it should. In 3 years of working together, Skive has never expressed personal preferences. He's been a tool, efficient and reliable, but never human. I know, buddy, but sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the people we care about. I understand. A pause. Will you remember me? Every day. Mara is staring at us both. I don't understand. What are you planning? EMP burst knocks out their communications and sensors. In the confusion we make for the lava tube, you and Kira get to the surface while I hold them off. And then what? Then you keep running, find a way off this rock, raise your daughter somewhere safe. What about you? I check my weapon count, ammunition. Not much, but enough for what I have in mind. I'll be fine. You're lying. Yeah, I'm lying. The sound of boots on stone echoes from the tunnel entrances. Morrison's troops are close now, probably less than 5 minutes away. Myra, I say, I need you to promise me something. What? If this goes wrong, if they get past me, don't let them take Kira alive. Her golden eyes flash with anger. How dare you? Because what they'll do to her will be worse than death. They'll study her, dissect her, turn her into a weapon against both our species. Promise me. She's quiet for a long moment, holding her daughter close. Then she nods. I promise. Good. I turn to Skive. You ready for this? I have one request. Shoot. When I initiate overload, will you tell Kira that I said goodbye? Christ, a dying machine asking me to pass along final words to a baby who might not even remember him. I'll tell her. The first soldiers appear at the tunnel mouth, their weapons tracking across the chamber. Morrison is with them, his face grim with determination. There, he shouts, pointing at us. Secure the hybrid. That's our cue. Now, Skive, The drone rises into the air, his optical sensors blazing like miniature suns. For a moment, he hovers there, beautiful and doomed, gathering power for his final act. "It has been an honor serving with you, Jonas Kane," he says. Then he explodes, not physically, the overload is purely electromagnetic. But every piece of electronic equipment in the chamber dies instantly. Weapon systems fail, communication devices cut out, even the emergency lighting flickers and goes dark. In the sudden chaos, I grab Myra's hand and run for the crack in the wall. Behind us, Morrison's voice roars over the confusion. "Manual targeting, light discipline. Find them." But we're already gone, squeezing through the narrow opening into the lava tube beyond. The passage is steep and treacherous, carved from volcanic glass that cuts like razor blades. But it's our only way out. "I'm sorry about your friend," Myra says as we climb. "He made his choice, just like we all do, Mataido." Was he really artificial? He seems so alive. Does it matter? She considers this as we navigate a particularly narrow section. No, I suppose it doesn't. Kira has been quiet through all of this, but now she starts to wheeze. The stress is getting to her, and her breathing sounds labored again. "How much further?" I ask. 20 meters, maybe less. Above us, I can see a glimmer of light. Real sunlight, not the artificial glow of emergency systems. We're almost there. That's when I hear the sound of aircraft engines. They're waiting for us, I realize. The aerial units. Morrison's no fool. He knew we'd head for the surface eventually. We reach the opening anyway. What choice do we have? The lava tube exits onto a windswept plateau overlooking the ruined settlement. The view is spectacular and heartbreaking. Miles of devastation stretching to the horizon, broken only by the twisted remains of what was once a thriving city. 3 attack shuttles hover overhead, their weapons trained on the cave mouth. Searchlights flood the area, turning the rocky ground into a stage lit for execution. Morrison's voice booms from speakers on the lead shuttle. "End of the line, Kane. Send out the hybrid and we'll make your death quick." I look at Myra, who is holding Kira so tightly I worry she might hurt her. The child's breathing is definitely worse now, stressed by the altitude and excitement. "Options?" I ask. "None that don't end with all of us dead." Then we're back to human creativity. Meaning, I look out over the plateau, calculating distances and angles. There's a ridge about 200 meters away with what looks like another cave system. If we could reach it, meaning we don't give them what they expect, which is surrender. Instead, I step out of the cave with my hands raised. "Morrison," I shout, "I want to negotiate." "Nothing to negotiate, Kane. Hand over the hybrid." "The child is dying. She needs medical attention. Real medical attention, not field patches." A pause. I can almost hear Morrison thinking. "Your point. Let the mother and child go. I'll stay. You want a war criminal. You've got one. I've killed way more of your people than any hybrid ever will." Tempting, but my orders are specific. "Your orders are wrong." Another pause, longer this time. "Explain." This is it. My one chance to buy Myra and Kira enough time to reach the ridge. "The hybrid program wasn't a weapon," I shout. "It was a peace initiative. An attempt to bridge the gap between our species through genetic compatibility." "Lies." "Zit, look at that child, Morrison. Really look at her." "What do you see?" I'm stalling now, hoping Myra understands what I'm doing. Behind me, I hear the soft sound of movement as she slips out of the cave and begins working her way along the rock face. "I see an abomination," Morrison replies. "You see fear, your own fear of being replaced, of becoming obsolete. But that child isn't a threat to humanity, Morrison. She's humanity's future. Genetic purity is a lie we tell ourselves to justify genocide. How many innocent people have died for your genetic purity? How many families destroyed?" I can see Myra now moving carefully along a narrow ledge toward the ridge. Kira is quiet in her arms, sensing the need for silence. "Keep going," I think. "Almost there." "The war is over, Morrison. Both sides lost. The only question now is whether we're going to let the next generation rebuild what we destroyed, or whether we're going to murder them for the crime of existing." "Enough." Morrison's voice is cold now. "You have 30 seconds to produce the hybrid, or we start shooting." "Then shoot." I spread my arms wide, an easy target against the rock face. "But ask yourself this first. What will history say about the man who murdered a child in the name of genetic purity? 29, 28, 27. My era reaches the ridge, disappears into another cave opening. 26, 25. Sir, a voice crackles over Morrison's comm system. Thermal sensors are detecting movement in Sector 9. Impossible, we have the only escape route covered. 24, 23. Sir, the signatures are definitely moving away from our position. Morrison's curse is audible, even at this distance. All units converge on Sector 9. Find them. The shuttles bank away from the plateau, heading toward Myra's new position. But they're too late. By the time they reach the ridge, she and Kira will be deep in the cave system, probably halfway to wherever she's planning to go next. 22, 21. I should feel triumphant. Mission accomplished, right? Mother and child escape evil government forces fooled. Instead, I feel empty, tired, ready for whatever comes next. Morrison's shuttle returns, hovering directly above me. Clever Kane, but you're still here and you're still going to do. Yeah, I figured. Any last words? I think about Skive, about his final request, about a machine that learned to care more than most humans ever do, about a child whose only crime was existing in a universe that couldn't accept difference. Tell me something, Morrison. When you sleep at night, do you dream about the children you've killed? I sleep just fine. Then you're more machine than my friend ever was. The weapons power up with a whine that cuts through the wind. I close my eyes and think about Kira's tiny hand touching my cheek, about wonder and innocence, and the possibility that maybe, just maybe, the next generation will do better than we did. At least she's safe. At least there's still hope. The whining stops. I open my eyes. Morrison's shuttle is hanging motionless in the air, its engines still running, but its weapons powered down. Through the cockpit glass, I can see him talking rapidly into his comm system. Something's wrong, or maybe something's right. Kane. Morrison's voice is different now, uncertain. You're wanted alive. By who? Command, new orders just came through. You're to be extracted immediately for debriefing. New orders from command. That's when I understand. The war really is over, and maybe, just maybe, someone up the chain of command has finally realized that genocide isn't victory. The shuttle lands, kicks up clouds of dust and debris. Armed soldiers emerge, but their weapons are lowered. Still dangerous, but not immediately lethal. Move, one of them orders. As they march me toward the shuttle, I look back at the ridge where Myra and Kira disappeared. Somewhere out there, a mother is carrying her daughter toward an uncertain future. But at least it's a future. At least there's still hope. Jonas Kane, Morrison says as they shove me into the shuttle. You have no idea what you've done. He's wrong. I know exactly what I've done. I've saved the future. The truth behind the war. The command ship Retribution hangs in orbit like a steel cathedral, its hull scarred by 3 years of war. As Morrison's shuttle docks, I catch glimpses through the viewports of the fleet beyond. Dozens of ships from both sides, human and alien vessels, maintaining an uneasy ceasefire. Something big has changed while I was planetside. They march me through corridors filled with activity. Officers from both species work side by side, their uniforms bearing new insignia I don't recognize. Peace talks, maybe. Or surrender negotiations. The briefing room is smaller than I expected, dominated by a holographic display showing the entire Kepler system. Admiral Chen sits at the head of the table, looking older than her 50 years. Across from her is someone I never expected to see again. Ambassador Thaley, the alien diplomat who tried to prevent this war 3 years ago. Jonas Kane, Admiral Chen says without preamble, you've caused quite a stir. Just doing my job, Admiral. Your job was to verify planetary sterilization, not rescue war criminals. War criminals. I keep my voice level. I rescued a mother and her dying child. The hybrid represents a violation of the Species Purity Accords signed by both governments. The accords that started this war in the first place. Ambassador Thaley speaks for the first time, his voice carrying that musical quality all his species possesses. Actually, Mr. Kane, those accords were never ratified. The room goes silent. Explain, Admiral Chen orders. The documents presented to both military commands were forgeries. Thaley continues. Created by extremist factions within both governments to justify military action against the hybrid program. I feel the floor drop out from under me. You're saying the war was illegal? Worse than that, Admiral Chen says grimly. It was orchestrated by people who profited from conflict and feared what peace might bring. The holographic display shifts showing classified documents, communication intercepts, financial records. A conspiracy spanning both species, both governments, both military commands. The hybrid program was working, Thalie explains. Children like the one you protected represent successful genetic integration between our species. They're not weapons or abominations. They're proof that our peoples can coexist, can build something better together. How long have you known, I ask? 3 days, Admiral Chen admits. Joint intelligence finally cracked the encryption on the falsified communications. Morrison's operation was authorized based on fraudulent orders. Where is Morrison now? In custody, along with 17 other officers from both sides. Her expression hardens. The people responsible for this war are finally being held accountable. I think about Skive, about his sacrifice to help us escape, about the thousands of soldiers who died fighting a war based on lies. What about the hybrids, the ones who survived? That's why you're here, Thalie says. We need to find them, all of them. Not to eliminate them, but to protect them. They're the future of both our species. I don't know where Myera went, but you could find her. Admiral Chen leans forward. Kane, we're offering you a choice. Court-martial for disobeying orders or redemption. Help us locate the surviving hybrids and their families. Help us build the peace this war was meant to prevent. And if I refuse, then children like Kira will spend their lives hiding in caves, afraid of the very species they represent hope for. The decision should be difficult. 3 years of military discipline says I should accept punishment for my actions. But 3 years of war has taught me that sometimes the military is wrong. I'll need a ship and full diplomatic immunity. Done. And I want Myera and her daughter protected. Official sanctuary, new identities if necessary. Also done. One more thing. I pause thinking about my fallen friend. I want a memorial for Skive. He died protecting that child. He deserves to be remembered. Admiral Chen and Ambassador Thale exchange glances. The artificial intelligence unit, Thalie asks. He wasn't just artificial intelligence. He was family. We'll see what we can arrange. The search for redemption. 3 weeks later, I'm back on the surface of Kepler 442c. But this time I'm not alone. The joint expedition includes medical teams, engineers, and most importantly, families of other hybrids who've come forward. The planet is still scarred, still broken, but there are signs of life returning. Emergency shelters dot the landscape, temporary structures, housing refugees from both species, working together to rebuild what the war destroyed. Finding Myera isn't as hard as I expected. Word travels fast in refugee communities, and the story of the human soldier who saved a hybrid child has spread through the underground networks. She's in the northern settlement, helping to establish a medical clinic for survivors. When I walk into the prefabricated building, she looks up from a patient's bedside and freezes. Jonas. Hello, Myera. Kira is playing in a corner of the clinic, her breathing clear and strong. She's grown in the past month and her features have developed more definition. The blend of human and alien characteristics is even more pronounced now and more beautiful. She sees me and makes that same happy sound I remember from the caves. Without hesitation, she toddles over and raises her arms to be picked up. She remembers you, Myera says, wonder in her voice. I lift Kira into my arms, and she immediately reaches for my face, her tiny fingers exploring my features with that same innocent curiosity. Hello, little one, I whisper. I told you I'd see you again. We heard rumors, Myera says carefully, about changes in the government, about the war ending. It's true, the ceasefire is holding. Both sides are working together now to investigate what really happened. And the hybrids are being offered full citizenship in both governments, protected status, the right to exist. Myera's golden eyes fill with tears. Is it really over? The fighting is. The healing, that's going to take longer. I tell her about the conspiracy, about the forged documents and extremist factions, about how her daughter and children like her were pawns in a game played by people who cared more about power than peace. What happens now, she asks. Might we build something better? You, me, all of us, together. You're staying, For a while, there are other families like yours scattered across the system, other children who need protection, while the galaxy learns to accept what they represent. Kira has fallen asleep in my arms, her head resting against my shoulder. In sleep, she looks so peaceful, so innocent. It's hard to believe this tiny life was the center of such hatred and fear. She asks about the flying friend sometimes, Myra says quietly. Flying friend, Skiv. She remembers him, draws pictures of circles with lights. I think about Skiv's final request about saying goodbye to Kira. She was just a baby then, but somehow she understood. Somehow she remembers. He said goodbye. I tell her, though she can't hear me. He wanted you to know. The memorial. 6 months later, we gather on a hill overlooking the rebuilt settlement. The memorial is simple, a stone pillar with Skiv's designation number and the words friend and protector in 3 languages, Human Standard Kepler Native, and the binary code that was his first tongue. Admiral Chen is here along with Ambassador Thaley and representatives from both governments. But the people who matter most are the families, human, alien, and hybrid, who've come to pay their respects to an artificial being who learned to care. Kira, now walking steadily and speaking her first words in a mixture of languages, places a small flower at the base of the memorial. She doesn't understand death, but she understands remembering. Friend Skiv, she says in her tiny voice. Bye-bye. The ceremony is brief but moving. Ambassador Thaley speaks about the nature of consciousness and how it transcends the boundaries between organic and artificial life. Admiral Chen talks about sacrifice and the courage to choose love over fear. But it's Myra who says what we're all thinking. He showed us that caring isn't about what you're made of, she says, addressing the gathered crowd. It's about what you choose to do with the time you have. Skiv chose to protect a child he had no reason to care about from people he had no reason to fear. He chose to be more than his programming. He chose to be human. The irony isn't lost on anyone. A machine achieved humanity while humans lost theirs to hatred and fear. As the crowd disperses, I find myself alone with the memorial. The sun is setting over the settlement, painting the sky in shades of amber and gold. In the distance, I can see children playing. Human children, alien children, and hybrid children whose very existence proves that love is stronger than fear. You did it, buddy, I say to the stone. You saved the future. A hand touches my shoulder. Myra with Kira balanced on her hip. What are you thinking, when she asks? About choices, about how one decision can change everything. Do you regret it helping us? I look at Kira, who grins and reaches for me. Her smile could light up the darkest corner of the galaxy. Not for a second. What will you do now? The integration program needs experienced coordinators. It's a tempting offer. Spend my remaining years helping to bridge the gap between species, facilitating the kind of understanding that might prevent future wars. Maybe I'd tell, but first I think I need to learn how to live in peacetime. It's different from war. Completely. In war, you know who the enemy is. In peace, you have to figure out how to live with people you used to hate. Kira babbles something incomprehensible but somehow meaningful. She's learned to make that happy sound whenever she sees me, and it never fails to lift my spirits. She says you're family now. Myra translates, though I suspect she's making it up. Is that what she says? It's what I say. The words hit me harder than any weapon ever could. Family, after 3 years of war, after losing everything I cared about, after believing I was nothing more than a soldier without a war to fight. I'd like that, I admit. As we walk back toward the settlement, Kira reaches out and grabs both our hands, pulling us together. For a moment, we're not human and alien. We're not soldier and refugee. We're not the products of different worlds and different species. We're just family walking home under an alien sky that no longer feels foreign. The future. 1 year later, the integration program has expanded to 17 worlds. Mixed colonies are thriving, and the first generation of hybrid children is growing up in a galaxy that's learning to celebrate difference rather than fear it. I've taken a position as a cultural liaison, helping new settlements navigate the challenges of multi-species cooperation. It's not always easy. Generations of mistrust don't disappear overnight, but it's rewarding in ways that war never was. Myra runs the medical program for the sector, developing treatments that work for both species and their hybrid offspring. Her research is helping to establish the scientific foundation for what was once just a dream. And Kira is 3 years old now, fluent in 3 languages and absolutely fearless. She plays with human children and alien children without seeing any difference between them. To her, diversity is just the natural order of things. Sometimes I watch her playing and think about Skyve, about how he sacrificed himself to protect something he barely understood. I think he would be proud of what that sacrifice achieved. The memorial on Kepler 442c has become a pilgrimage site. People from across the galaxy come to pay their respects to the artificial being who chose to be more than his programming. They leave flowers, data crystals, and small mechanical devices, offerings to the machine that learned to love. But the real memorial isn't made of stone. It's the children playing in integrated schools, the mixed families building homes together, the former enemies working side by side to create something better than what came before. It's Kira laughing as she runs through a garden where flowers from a dozen worlds bloom together in perfect harmony. It's a future that almost wasn't saved by the choices of people who decided that caring matters more than coding, that love matters more than fear, that what we choose to become matters more than what we were made to be. The war is over, the healing has begun, and in a galaxy that almost forgot how to hope a child who wasn't supposed to exist has become proof that impossible things are just possibilities waiting for someone brave enough to believe in them. Epilogue. 5 years have passed since that day in the underground tunnels, when I first held a dying hybrid child and chose to save her instead of following orders. Today I'm standing in the assembly hall of New Geneva Station, watching Kira receive an award for her essay on interspecies cooperation. At 8 years old, she's become something of a celebrity, the hybrid child whose story inspired the peace accords, whose existence proved that our species could create something beautiful together. But to me, she's just Kira, the little girl who laughs at my jokes, who falls asleep in my arms during story time, who calls me Uncle Jonas and means it with every fiber of her being. Her essay is titled, "Why Different is Good?" And as she reads it to the assembly of diplomats and dignitaries, I'm struck by the simplicity of her wisdom. My mommy is from one world and my daddy's people are from another world, she reads in her clear, confident voice. But I'm from both worlds, and that makes me twice as lucky. I get 2 kinds of music, 2 kinds of food, 2 kinds of stories. Different doesn't mean bad. Different means more. The applause is thunderous. I see Admiral Chen wiping away tears, Ambassador Thala nodding approvingly, and hundreds of other officials from dozens of species united in appreciation for a child's insight. After the ceremony, we walk together through the station's observation deck. The view is spectacular. Ships from 100 worlds dock peacefully together, their crews working toward common goals. Uncle Jonas, Kira says, tugging on my hand, do you think Sky would be proud of me? I kneel down to her eye level, looking into those remarkable eyes that hold the future of 2 species. Kiddo Yeech, I say, I think he'd be the proudest machine in the galaxy. She grins and hugs me tight, and in that moment, I know that every choice I made was worth it. Every risk, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt. Because this is what victory really looks like. Not the defeat of enemies, but the creation of family. Not the conquest of worlds, but the building of bridges between them. This is what Skyve died for, what my era ran for, what I chose to fight for when fighting meant saving instead of destroying. This is hope given form and flesh, and the courage to exist in a universe that tried to say she couldn't. And she's perfect. Well, there you have it, folks. The story of how a dying machine, a runaway mother, and a washed-up soldier proved that sometimes the most human thing you can do is choose to care about someone different from yourself. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think about Kira's future. Should I tell more stories from this universe? What other impossible things do you think love can make possible? Don't forget to subscribe for more science fiction stories that celebrate the best of humanity, even when humanity comes in unexpected forms. And remember, in a galaxy full of differences, choosing to care is what makes us all family. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars and believing in the impossible.